Hey everybody, I'm Sam. I'm a student of the Bible. I'm a pastor. I've been a pastor for 22 years, and you can find my writings if you would like to check those out on samburke.org. You click on posts there, and you can kind of see all of those. Don't judge for some of my early writings by 2007, 2008, somewhere around there. We all grow through that, whatever. My training involves biblical studies, theology, and biblical languages. I want to answer a question today that I saw a video on YouTube, and someone was responding to someone's question, and they used a verse, and they used it in a very interesting way. And it's a question that I got back in the spring. I taught on John chapter 10, and this question goes something like this. In John chapter 10, verse 10, Jesus says, "The thief comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. I've come that they may have life and have it to the full." That's the NIV rendering, I think. The question is, who's the thief that Jesus is talking about there? And for a lot of times, what happens is that this idea gets interpreted, this verse gets interpreted in a way that says that the devil is the thief, or Satan is the thief. And he's the one who's out to steal, to kill, and to destroy our lives. And I've heard that interpreted that way over and over and over and over again. And in this video I was watching, that's exactly how this person interpreted that. And my question is that true? Is that right? Is Jesus actually talking about the devil or Satan as this thief? Or is there a better answer to it? Is there an actual answer that's not that? So that's what we want to check out in John chapter 10 today. So we're going to go to the text. We're going to do some really good exegesis and some great hermeneutics, okay? As we talked about last week in the Theology Thursday video, hermeneutics is the study of interpretation. In order to do really good in hermeneutics, we have to have some principles that guide us. Things like historical context, literary context, grammar. What is the actual context in the passage telling us? And so we have to do all that. We can't. These verses don't exist in isolation. Okay, they're not just like quippy little sayings like proverbs that have no context within them. This discourse that Jesus is saying in John chapter 10 sits within a context of an event, of something that happened. And Jesus uses this event, this thing, as a way to then talk about what he wants to talk about. And he actually brings up two I am statements. I am the door and I am the good shepherd. Okay, and sandwiched in between those two statements, I am the door and I am the good shepherd for the sheep, he makes this statement: the thief comes to steal, to kill, and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the fullest. So the question is, who's the thief according to the context? Okay, so let's, I'm going to use the NRSV from the Oxford Annotated Bible. And I'm going to look at the whole passage, and I'm going to set the context for us so we can understand what's actually going on in this context, so that when we get to these verses, it makes a little more sense for us, okay? So here's the context. The context is John chapter 9. Jesus and his disciples are walking right outside the temple, and they come across this guy who was born blind. And Jesus' disciples come up to Jesus and they say, who sinned that this man was born blind? Did his parents sin? Did he sin in the womb? Like, how did this happen? Because their worldview, if you go back to a video a couple times ago where I talked about this, their worldview is that good things happen to good people and bad things happen to bad people. And so what happened that this guy was born this way? And Jesus says, neither of those things is accurate. That's not what's going on here. And Jesus takes this moment to say what's really going on here is that I'm about to show the glory of God through all of this. And so the story goes, he goes up to the guy, says, "You want to see?" The guy goes, "Yeah, I want to see." And he spits on the mud. He wipes the mud on the guy's eyes, tells him to go wash in the pool of Siloam, which means sent. And he goes, as he's sent to the pool, he washes, and he comes back and he can see. Well, the Pharisees, the religious leaders of that day, and they are watching this whole thing go down, and they are not about it at all, because this is a Sabbath day and this man has been healed on a Sabbath day. They believe that is work. You don't do work on the Sabbath day. And so therefore They really want to know what's going on because they have an inkling, they have a thought that this is Jesus doing this, and he has not been on their popular list. He's not been on the nice list for them, and so they grill this guy, and he's like, I don't know, I was blind, now I can see. And they get his parents involved. His parents are afraid that they're going to get kicked out of the temple because of all this, so they said no, he can answer for himself. He does. They finally kick this guy out of the temple because he's not answering the way they want him to answer. Jesus gets wind of the fact that these Pharisees kick him out of the temple, and he goes up to this guy and he's like, hey, I'll just read it. He says, do you believe in the Son of Man? He answered, and who is he, sir? Tell me so that I may believe in him. Jesus said to him, you have seen him, and the one speaking with you is he. He said, Lord, I believe, and he worshipped him. Jesus said, I came into this world for judgment, so that those who do not see may see, and those who do see may become blind. Some of the Pharisees near him, some of the religious teachers near him, heard this and said to him, surely we're not blind, are we? And Jesus said to them, well, if you were blind, you would not have sinned. But now that you say we see, your sin remains. He's basically telling them, yeah, you're like the worst kind of blind. You're the blind who thinks they can see. Okay? So then you get to John chapter 10. In John chapter 10, then Jesus begins into this discourse, and he's talking about this whole event that's going on. He's talking about the sheep of Israel. Okay? This is what's important to understand. He's gonna make some metaphors and allusions to things. Okay, so everything is kind of playing off of this whole idea that these religious leaders have kicked this guy out of the temple, even though the religious leaders were supposed to be the ones who cared for the people. Okay, and the whole idea of Jesus setting himself up as the door and as the good shepherd is that he is juxtaposing himself to the fake shepherds. Okay, these people that were given charge of and were supposed to be caring for these people. And Jesus is saying, no, I'm the good shepherd. These are the fake shepherds. Okay, and so this is what he says. Very truly, I tell you, anyone who does not enter the sheepfold by the gate, but climbs in by another way is a thief and a bandit. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep hear his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. So anyone who enters into the sheepfold by some other way than the front door, the front gate, is a thief and a bandit or a robber. Okay? And he is not being coy about this. He is not even being like subtweeting here. He is pointing directly at these religious leaders, saying anyone who enters the sheepfold by any other means necessary and tries to lead the sheep astray, they are a thief. They are a bandit. He says, but I am the one who is able to go in and out. The shepherd comes in, calls his sheep. They recognize his voice. They follow him. He leads them out to the good pasture. He is the one that they know. He is the good shepherd. He says, no, anyone who jumps in any other way and messes up the flock or kicks the sheep out of the flock or whatever, they're the thief and the robbers. They have no good intentions. Jesus is speaking specifically to these religious leaders, these fake shepherds who are positioning themselves as the real shepherds. And Jesus is saying, no, I am the good shepherd, okay? He says, when he has brought out all his own, he goes ahead of them. The sheep follow him because they know his voice. They will not follow a stranger, but they will run from him because they do not know the voice of strangers. Jesus used this figure of speech with them. They didn't understand what he was saying to them. So again, Jesus said to them, very truly, I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and bandits. All who came before me are thieves and bandits, thieves and robbers, right? But the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters by me will be saved and will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief, he already talked about thieves twice. Okay? And these thieves are these fake shepherds with bad intentions who are leading people astray by their bad teachings and their bad ways of treating the sheep. Okay, he says, the thief comes only to steal, to kill, and to destroy, but I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. So I think it's absolutely clear that the thief he's talking about here are fake religious teachers who come in and who try to lead the sheep astray. and who especially, he's specifically talking to these religious teachers of Israel, of the Jewish people. And he said, these people who are positioning themselves as the shepherds of Israel, they're fake shepherds. They're not real shepherds. They are people who are only there to steal, to kill, to destroy. They have no good intentions for the sheep. They are leading them away from the real shepherd, and the sheep aren't going to want to listen to them. They're not going to follow them anyway. They're only there to do harm to the sheep. And I don't think Jesus is talking about the devil here. He's not talking about Satan. He's not talking about any of that. He's talking about fake religious leaders who only have themselves in mind when they're leading and not the actual people. They don't care much for the actual sheep. They only care about themselves and what they get out of it and how they look and positioning themselves as authorities and all that kind of stuff. That is who Jesus is talking about here, especially the religious leaders of the people of Israel who were supposed to be shepherding the people well, but were mistreating the sheep. And so Jesus is reprimanding them for mistreating the sheep. That's who the thief is in John chapter 10. It's not the devil, okay? And so when people use this to try to say, well, the devil is the one who is out to steal, to steal, to kill, and to destroy, while he may be out there to do that, that's not what Jesus is talking about here. He's basically saying, beware of false teachers. Beware of teachers whose motives are not for the sheep, who don't care for the sheep. They're not there to shepherd the sheep well. They're there for themselves. They're there to lead them astray, and it's only going to damage the flock. And he was specifically talking to the religious leaders of that time, of that day. That is the thief in John chapter 10. Hopefully this was helpful for you. Like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next video.